Round one, game number two between Inter Miami and Atlanta United. There's heightened stakes in this one. A must win for the Five Stripes against the Gulf Coast Galacticos. And for that, we've reached new heights for this edition of your AT&T Countdown to Kickoff. That's Jason Longshore. I'm Joe Fryhofer. Jason, expect fireworks in this one. Could be upwards of 70,000 17s flooding Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
And this team gets to rest a little bit as well. I called their performance in Fort Lauderdale inspiring. They were exhausted after the game in Montreal. They had two first-half injuries that required subs. They had two more subs they had to make at halftime. They had one sub available in the second 45. They took it all the way down to the wire. Brad Kazan stands on his head. Was an amazing performance that came up just a little bit short. This one can't. You have to find a way to win. If it's in regulation, awesome. If it's in a penalty shootout, awesome. You have to do whatever it takes to get to game 3 back in Fort Lauderdale.
For Atlanta United manager Rob Valentino, there's a fresh fitness heading into this match. Game 1 was the third match for the Five Stripes in 7 days. In that one, right back Brooks Lennon exited the match with a separated shoulder, underwent surgery today. He's out for the remainder of the season. Center back Stian Gregerson pulled his hamstring as well. He is questionable to be in that starting 11 for Valentino. What could that 11 look like shape-wise for him?
The good thing is you get Ronald Hernandez back, so he is the likely substitution for Brooks Lennon. But you also saw in that match the team changed shape multiple times with the injuries, with fatigue, with the tactics of the moment as well. They started with a line of 4, turned into a line of 5 with 3 center backs. Also the midfield changed from 3 to 2 behind 1, at times looking like a 5-2-3 the way that it played out. The team was able to adapt. That's because Miami can move their pieces around too, and it'll be really intriguing to see what their starting 11 is, because they have the ability to start different groups and have that team look very different. So Atlanta's going to have to adjust. It might be a line of 4 to start, it might be a line of 5. I think you're going to see both at various points in the match.
A boost for the Five Stripes all season long has been that depth off of the bench, specifically with those veterans. Goalkeeper Brad Guzan, the captain, who showed up with 9 saves in that game number 1, and in the midfield with Dax McCarty, who used the word balance.
The right balance is going to be pressing higher up the field and winning the ball higher up the field. And if you want to talk about the world-class players they have in the attacking half, which they do, if you can somehow manage to deny service into them and get them fewer touches and further away from the goal, well, that's an advantage for us.
Now in game 2 for the Five Stripes, you've got to bring the game to Miami a bit more, hold a higher line, and see if you can increase in possession.
Yeah, you've got to find those moments where you have the ball and make it count. Miami's going to give you space. We talked to Dax McCarty and Bartosz Szliś this week, and both talked about they're going to have time on the ball. They're going to be able to get their head up and pick out a pass. They have to make those moments count, because you know what can happen the other way. And I thought Bartosz gave a brilliant answer this week, talking about counterattacking and how you want to get forward. Of course, you have to know what's going on behind you. Luis Suarez, times getting back onside so well. Lionel Messi, always lurking. You have to know, even when you're on the ball, what you're going to have to do defensively. And Dax McCarty, with all the games he's played and all of that match intelligence, is going to be vital here.
With triple-decker 17s behind you, lifting this attack for the Five Stripes, what should you expect from manager Rob Valentino out there?
I think you're going to have to be able to change things on the fly at times. I think you're going to have to get forward. You're going to have to exploit Miami wide, I think, is where you find that risk reward in terms of getting numbers forward. Saba Lobjanidze has been brilliant over the past couple of months. You want to get him into 1v1 situations. Also, if you turn the ball over wide, you're a little more protected than if you turn it over in the middle. So I think you really want to get at Miami wide, especially when Jordi Alba gets forward, which we know that he will. You want to get behind him. You want to make him think twice about going forward. You've got to find those moments where you can get 1v1 isolated on Sergio Busquets. Brilliant on the ball, but Miami will try to hide him at times defensively because he can't run like he used to. Was never really fleet of foot to begin with. Not quite the same player at 37 than he was when he was 27. Take advantage of that, play fast, feed off of the crowd, and get around the outside of this Miami team. I broke out the old school stuff today, the OG MLS Atlanta, 10 years old, because this is one of those moments in club history. You know, I mean, that's the thing I think we lose sight of at times doing this and being around it. there are seminal moments in club history that aren't always trophies being lifted. That game in Fort Lauderdale, to me, was one of the performances that will always stick with me. I'll always remember how I felt at the end of that match. I hope we have that same feeling together as one on Saturday night.
That history for 2024 is yet to be written. It will be inked through the MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. 7:10 is your kickoff, where Jason Longshore, Mike Conti take to the radio booth here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium one final time in 2024.
Pre-game coverage starts at 6 o'clock on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. 7:10 kickoff, and we'll be screaming until we lose our voices on Saturday night.
That's Jason Longshore. I'm Joe Fryhofer. This has been your AT&T Countdown to Kickoff. 5 stripes, Gulf Coast Galacticos, 7:10 for the MLS Season Pass on Apple TV.